Hi there, we're at the Ripple Wyckoff analysis session again, and Ripple seems to be trying to seek support somewhere along the line, and we see some pretty, let's say, mildly deep. I'm not sure, you can comment what do you consider, and let's take a look at the chart and see where Ripple is heading. And if we get into the weekly, we see this red candle over here that got to the tail over here, got to around $2.95. And what level is that? Is this green line. I've updated the chart, added a few more support levels so it will be clearer for everybody. Basically, the green line is extended from mainly the LPSY, but also where the upthrust was hovering around. So that's the first stop in terms of the support. The next level of support would be all the way down to, when I say these supports, these are more solid supports. There are intermediate levels, but then if you see these candle bodies doesn't overlap, it's pretty, it would be a little bit more shaky than the ones that we've got more trading activities in between. So the yellow ones is actually, the yellow one is actually at around $2.65. So it's different from previously what I said at around $2.75 probably in last week's video, because look, if you look to the left, this yellow support line is basically defined by the price ranges around the buying climax, this BC over here, as well as the last point of supply over here back in February this year. So it's not just one price point, it's a range. So it's a range around $2.65. So that's the second level of support. The third level would go all the way to somewhere around $2.40. So we don't hope that it goes all the way to the yellow or orange. Much like the comment I received in last week's video. It's ridiculous to see this going back to the $2.75, but if you're in the market long enough, you probably have seen a lot of ridiculous things happening, right? So back to here, one key reference I would take, besides the Wyckoff stage that we are potentially in an upthrust of the distribution stage, is this blue box, this upward blue box over here. So as long as this upward trend that started in March, late March or like early April this year, as long as the price doesn't go or fall below or fall outside of this box, what I'm saying is this line, this bottom edge of the box over here, as long as the price doesn't fall outside, then the uptrend or like the sideways trend may seem to have a chance to continue. If it does come down, then the bottom edge will become more resistant for whatever that comes after. So here the thing is, by looking at the timeline, the volume itself is catching up. The selling over here is relatively strong, almost as strong as the force that pushed it up last week. So what I'm trying to say is, if we look at this timeline, if the drop is going to continue next week, next week's candle is going to be situated here. The lowest point it can get to is still going to be able to touch the orange support line, that third line of support, at around $2.40. So that's probably the worst case scenario in the short term, like next week. Or like, well, this week still have roughly 2 days left, and including next week, that's around 10 days. If it moves on to the week later, like in August, like second week of August, the first second week of August, that means the support has moved up first is this blue line, and then eventually this yellow line at $2.65 roughly. So this is a range, remember. So the longer the trading range can extend, the better the chance that it can find support at a higher level. So hope, finger crossed, that it doesn't come down in the remaining 2 days or like immediately next week, because that adjustment can be deeper than when it happens later in the timeline. So that's the big picture. Here, one more thing. So far it's fine, it's finding support at the green line, but it has also fallen through the midline of this blue box, this middle line over here. What it means, similar to what I explained earlier, if it falls outside of the blue box, this means this center line can be a short-term or intermediate-term resistance for the price to go up. It doesn't mean it can't go higher than what we've seen here. It's just that it's going to take a longer time. So this is the level that we have seen. So over there, that's we're talking about near the end of next month. So almost 4 weeks time. If it doesn't go above this midline, if this is really a strong resistance, then it will take it another 4 weeks before it gets to the same level that we have just seen over the past 2 weeks. That's $3.65 roughly. If we go to the daily and take a deeper look, here we talk about it's probably the price of Ripple has reached the buying climax, and it topped after hitting or getting close to the ceiling of this upward trend, this blue box that we've just seen also in the weekly time frame. So this is a pretty good proof of a strong establishment of an upward channel. Much like what I've said, it has gone past the center line. What we hope to see is for the price to find support at around $2.75. That's where all these automatic reaction or this LPSYs or even the last buying climax was around. So hopefully the price will find support above this level, this crazy level, yeah. And if really in the weekly, if it defies the rule or sets a new pattern for Wyckoff that there is a peak after upwards distribution, then we'll see something very different over here, because this will become an upthrust in the daily time frame or another upthrust of the distribution. So while we are talking, I noticed one thing that I have also put into the Bitcoin chart. If you go to the Bitcoin session, you know what I mean, because here, when I string this, it's showing me a pattern that's kind of similar to what I have seen in the Bitcoin chart. So a scenario 2 basically. Here we take the PSY over here, and then the buying climax here upwards of the distribution. What I'm seeing a scenario 2 is, I don't want to move this one, I want to copy, and let's put it yellow. The PSY for this entire range is not less likely scenario, but it may be. And then yellow buying climax over here. So if the PSY period took that long, it doesn't look like it is, because these looks to me the blue tags are accurate. Just in case there's like a 1% chance that's the yellow scenario, that's why we're adding it here. They're more like question mark for study or research purpose. When we get to later in the date, I believe we'll see it within this year, whether the blue scenarios are correct. And here, what I'm trying to say is, after the buying climax, we expect the automatic reaction. That's why the price is coming down, to seek a point where it finds support before it gets to a second test. So a second test may not always happen. Look at what happened in May. There wasn't much of a second test. It's basically a little bit of sideways movement, just edging upwards or edging along the center line of the yellow box. And then the price retreat to a low point already, the low point within the yellow channel box. So this time, the automatic reaction is coming somewhere near the top edge of the yellow box. Last time, back in January this year, it went to $2.83. It stopped there and then climbed back up again before it does another decline, or it did another decline. That's passed already. So here, this time the upward momentum seems to be bigger because it probably had a longer accumulation compared to what we had in end of December. So there may be a chance that it comes up for a second test. If there's sufficient momentum, it will form an upthrust. Everything has to based on the fact that this upward channel isn't broken. So if the price falls outside of this upward channel, then it's more likely that it's going to get to another accumulation before it climbs again. So I believe some of you wouldn't want to see that happening, right? But that's how the chart, or what the chart is telling us, given this increasing selling volume over the past 2 days as well. It looks like whenever the price gets to the point at around $3.65, that's a peak even higher than the last buying climax back in February, and actually the all-time high as well for Ripple. People are becoming less confident, let's put it this way. It doesn't mean Ripple doesn't have a chance to set a new all-time high. I already mentioned it still can, as long as it stays within this upward channel, this blue channel. So